No, it has got an old statement. When she was reading, here it's not the same thing. So I dumped it.
SAPS and SANDF in this media briefing, members of the media. My name is Major General Nomkulego Pogane, and today we are conducting this media briefing just to update the country on the deployment of the SANDF as announced by the President in Sona and other developments that we have seen in the space in the past few weeks. On that note, let me just immediately hand over to the National Commissioner of the SAPS to take us through the official media statement for this particular media briefing. General, over to you. Thank you very much.
Doesn't know this thing. No. Okay. Good afternoon, and thanks to the Program Director, General Pukani, the Chief of South African National Defence Force, General Mapwanya, the co-chairpersons of the National Joints, Lieutenant Generals Musikidi and Sangweni, senior officers of both the SANDF and SAPS leadership, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Today is a joint briefing between South African Police Service and the South African National Defence Force, represent an important milestone in strengthening our collective national response to crime and serious and violent crime in the country. We meet here not merely to announce an operational deployment, but to reaffirm a fundamental principle that the authority of the state will always prevail over criminality, intimidation, and lawlessness. South Africans have rightly expressed deep concern about the levels of violent crime the activities of organized criminal syndicates, and the safety concerns in some communities. These concerns are legitimate, and as the leadership of the Justice, Crime Prevention and Security Cluster departments, we have taken the responsibility to respond decisively, strategically, and with the full capacity of the state. It is in this context that His Excellency President of the Republic of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, during the State of the Nation address, directed that government intensify the fight against organized crime and strengthen cooperation between the security cluster departments. In his recent response to oral questions in Parliament, the President further emphasized that the deployment of the South African National Defence Force in cooperation with the South African Police Service forms part of a broader national effort to confront organized criminal networks, deal with crime, stabilize affected communities, and restore public confidence in law enforcement. Guided by this directive, the President has authorized the deployment of the South African National Defence Force in cooperation with the SAPS under Operation Prosper. This deployment spans a period of 13 months with over 2,000 members of the South African National Defence Force deployed across the country. Across the country, I mean the 9 provinces, but not that you will find them in all the 9 provinces at all the time, but depending on which areas are hotspot at that specific time or moment. The intervention will focus on the hotspot areas, which includes but not limited to Free State, Gauteng, Northwest, Western Cape, and Eastern Cape. Areas that have been identified through intelligence and crime analysis as being significantly affected by criminal activity. The purpose of this intervention is to provide space to the South African Police Service to deal with both street crime and to disrupt and dismantle organized crime groupings through a coordinated operational framework where the SANDF and SAPS will work together to stabilize crime-affected areas and restore the rule of law in communities where criminal networks have sought to undermine the authority of the state. So in other words, the deployment of both the SANDF and the South African Police Service will stabilize hotspot areas, whilst the teams of organized crime will then have enough chance to infiltrate and do investigation in the targeted areas where they will solely deal with the complex organized crime that are in those specific areas. In the Free State, Gauteng, Northwest, as you are aware, there is sophisticated illicit mining criminal groupings, continue to exploit abundant and active mining infrastructure, generating enormous illicit financial flows, fueling violence between gangs and rival groups, damaging essential infrastructure and contributing to environmental degradation. As you are aware that they use a lot of water, and in some cases, or in most cases, they do steal this water. In the same time, gang-related violence in the Western Cape and Gauteng continue to drive high levels of murder, extortion, drug trafficking, and illegal firearm proliferation, devastating communities and trapping many young people in a cycle of violence. These criminal dynamics are not isolated, they are interconnected and often linked to illegal migration, illicit firearm trafficking, corruption networks, and attack on essential infrastructure. The scale, sophistication, and persistence of these criminal activities have resulted in extraordinary and integrated response by government. Ladies and gentlemen, this is precisely what this joint deployment seeks to achieve. The SANDF will cooperate with SAPS through coordinated operational deployments, enhanced visibility, stabilization measures in identified hotspots. Importantly, This operation will remain intelligence-led, constitutionally compliant, conducted under established command structures. The operational coordination will be managed through the National Joint Operational and Intelligence Structure, commonly known as the NAJOINS, which will ensure seamless coordination between security agencies, government departments, and the provincial structures. These structures will enable intelligence-led planning, coordinated deployment, and real-time operational oversight. Joint operational centers has been established to ensure seamless cooperation between SAPS SANDF and other law enforcement agencies. This will ensure that all interventions are lawful, appropriate, and strategically targeted. The objective of these joint operations are clear and measurable. Firstly, to stabilize priority crime hotspots areas, as I indicated earlier, where organized crime have entrenched itself. Secondly, to disrupt and dismantle syndicates, those involved in illicit mining and gang violence. Thirdly, to restore law and order and peace in affected communities and ensure that residents are able to live without fear. Fourthly, to reclaim territory that has been controlled or influenced by criminal networks and firmly assert the authority of the state. And finally, to reduce serious and violent crime levels through sustained enforcement and intelligence-driven operations. Members of the media, allow me to assure South Africans that this intervention is already underway. The initial deployments in parts of the country has commenced and is progressing well. We might have seen in Gauteng, there has been deployments. There have been some 10 people arrested, a lot of confiscations of illegal mining equipment has been done, with joint operational teams already working together on targeted enforcement and operations and area stabilization activities. At the same time, the final phase of the joint mission readiness training continues. There's been a lot of questions as to how is SANDF and SAPS doing their work. There is a joint mission readiness training that is being undertaken. Thereafter, then it will involve everyone. During this phase, operational matters such as rules of engagement, communication procedures, base standing orders are finalized. This preparation ensures that members are equipped to operate effectively within a cooperative operational framework. As these operations unfold, the public will see increased coordinated visibility of security forces, targeted operations against illicit mining activities, intensified and robust actions against gang networks, and strengthened protection of essential infrastructure. However, it is important to emphasize that this intervention is not only about enforcement, it is about restoring stability, rebuilding trust between communities and law enforcement, and creating safer conditions for social and economic development. Success will therefore be measured not only in terms of arrest and confiscations, but also the reduction of violence, the disruption of criminal networks, and the restoration of community confidence. And of course, we will hear from you, the community, in terms of whether there is increase in safety or not. To the affected communities by these crimes, we have heard your concern, we understand your frustration, and we are committed to restoring safety and stability in those neighborhoods. To the members of South African Police Service and members of South African National Defence Force who will be participating in this deployment, you carry the responsibility of protecting our democracy and safeguarding our people. The country expects the highest standard of professionalism, discipline, and respect for the Constitution. We also expect that you protect the communities, members of the community. You also protect yourself from harm. In closing, members of the media, let me reiterate that public safety is a shared national priority. The fight against crime cannot be won by law enforcement alone. It requires partnership with communities, cooperation across government institutions, and sustained national commitment. This joint deployment represents a decisive step in strengthening that commitment. Working together, we will dismantle the criminal networks, reclaim our communities from violence and lawlessness, and restore the sense of safety and dignity that every South African deserves. And lastly, we call upon parents that they must be able to take and to behave as parents and make sure that you are in control of your children. You cannot have children as young as 12 or 13 years that are involved in illegal things, or they are not at home in late hours. So it is a responsibility that we have to share, and we are asking that cooperation between us and the communities. We thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the National Commissioner for taking us through that official media statement for this particular media briefing. At this point in time, we will then be allowing the Chief of the SANDF to make any additional remarks, if there are any, before we go to the questions. Thank you very much, General.
Thank you to the Program Director and to National Commissioner. This was our joint statement. What I would like to add, and not subtracting from what the National Commissioner had said, is that we have seen too much lives lost. And one life is one more than enough, and we are not going to tolerate any further escalation of any criminal activity that will take our people's lives. We will give those criminal elements no quarters, and we will go out there and ensure that our people are protected. We will work jointly with our counterparts in the police service, and that is what we promise the people of South Africa to say. We are not going to allow those who do not have the right to carry arms to terrorize our people. We are going to ensure that the state apparatus takes full responsibility and ownership and say we are the only ones who are empowered to have the monopoly of force. And we'll carry those arms, and if you challenge us, we will show those criminal elements that this is the state, and ensuring that we are going to enforce by any means the law of order. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General. We can then move straight to the question and answer session. If there are any questions, we can take the questions. By the show of hands, you will introduce yourself and the media house that you are representing, and then we will note the questions, and the generals will respond accordingly. I'm noting 1, 2, 3. There are 3 hands that I've noted in that particular order. Let's start with you, Calvin. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. My name is Calvin Huda from SABC. General Masimula, the first one is yours. We got reports that police are actually not cooperating in these operations. We spoke to some residents in Rwanda. They are complaining that it takes time for police to come, and some soldiers, off the record, they told me that police are actually not cooperating. They take time, and even if they hand over some items like generators, they are not satisfied with the cooperation from the members of the South African Police Service. They allege that it might happen that police are actually working with these illegal miners. And maybe you can touch on the issue of Eldorado Park shooting. And lastly, the South African National Defence Force Union is actually not happy about this deployment. They are saying that soldiers are not trained to police civilians. They are praying that us not expecting fatalities. They are saying that the training that was provided was not enough for the soldiers to actually deal with the civilians.
Thank you for being here.
So, perhaps just an understanding of how is, because you talk about training, how is that going to work? Like, how long is the training? How does it help with regards to dealing with the civilians, and how long will it take? And then just perhaps a reaction from the SAPS on the arrest with regards to the Madanga Commission that happened. And yeah, just a reaction here. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Howard Mawaleo from UFN. I want to understand, how does the SANDF practically imagine its role would be, because there are no riots in the country going on currently. Are you going to take over existing cases by way of being given dockers to help with investigation? Just the practical part of it, of how are you going to? And I hear the commissioner say some of these crimes are linked to illegal immigration. Obviously, you will find some illegal immigrants engaged in crime like any other person, but where is Home Affairs in this? What happens in a situation where you are in a township, you apprehend some people for whatever that you believe they are doing wrong, and you find that some of them are in the country unlawfully? And I'm asking this because recently the Minister of Home Affairs, in response to a question, indicated that they simply do not have the resources to be anywhere and everywhere in the country where there's an anti-crime operation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have noted the three questions from the three journalists. General, I'll hand over to the general for responses.
All right. Thank you. The issue that police are not cooperating, well, which looks like you got it somewhere from the communities. We are not aware of that. What the reports we get from commanders is they are working seamlessly together, both SAPS and the SANDF. And if there are those elements that are not cooperating, we will deal with them in terms of disciplinary steps. And remember, we shouldn't take it as if, especially when you say the practical of it, we shouldn't take it as if it was the first time that the SANDF and South African Police Service work together. Remember, they've been working Valomgodi together, and in the past, in a number of operations. So it is not something new. We have been working together. So even now, we don't foresee any problem in terms of the two working together. Also, to say it is not, this operation is not only about South African Police Service and the SANDF. We have a national organized crime strategy that we are rolling out that is going to deal with the organized crime. In that strategy, we have got quite a lot of departments: SAPS, SARS, FIC, NPA, SIU, AFU. You have a lot of other BMA. You have a lot of other departments involved. So you will know that wherever there is this illegal immigrants, wherever they get arrested, we'll always have Home Affairs handy to deal with them. There might not be, Home Affairs might not be at every street, but police and SANDF, they know if you arrest illegal immigrants, they know you take them to police station, Home Affairs process them, and those processes will still be done. Yeah, it's unfortunate that, yes, there was a shooting at Eldos, and our deployment going to be reinforced, and we will continue doing our work, including at the Eldos. The training, to say is not sufficient, I don't know. The traders, I've seen one of the SAPS traders there at the back. So I don't know, maybe he can come and talk what training is not sufficient. But also take note that these people is not the first time that they are working together. It's just a refresher that they are being given to be reminded so that they know as they work together as to how should they go along. The arrest on the Madlanga Commission, yes, we are quite thankful that we have made a breakthrough in terms of the matter of witness D, and well, the person will appear in court on Monday, and the team that we appointed to deal with the cases of Madlanga Commission is starting to doing well with its work. We are quite comfortable with that. And okay, how is practical? I think I spoke about that. Yeah, maybe I'll come back. Let me give the general to address other matters. Thanks, General.
Thank you, Netcom. Let me start off by indicating the concerns that are raised by Sandu. The claim by Sandu, one, are not informed by the practical things that happens on the ground. In our training as the South African National Defence Force, we do have models that caters for most of the cooperation arrangements that must be conducted when working with the police. We also plan during our preliminary arrangements that we will do our own combat readiness training, and at a later stage when we are to prepare for a final mission, we do joint mission readiness training. And that is the training that we conduct together. That is the training that harmonizes our way of doing things. Among things, we look at the rules of engagement and how we should be conducting communication amongst ourselves. And that is primarily what it entails, because we had been working together not only in Valumgodi. During the taxi violence in the Cape, we were together. During the earlier iteration of gang violence in Western Cape, we were together. So there had always been cooperation between the police and the defense. So this is not new. So Sandu must be informed that there is no training that is not sufficient, because mission readiness training specifically deals with the areas where we are going to cooperate and emphasize on those parts that requires engagement, and lessons learned that we have made during the previous conduct of operations. And those are some of the things that we include in mission readiness training. Let me also come to the question as to whether we will take the dockets over and run with the dockets. We don't have those ambitions to be policemen. We remain as soldiers. That's why we're saying we'll give those enemies, we'll create conditions that will make it impossible for those criminals to continue to operate with impunity. So, Section 200, Section 201, subsection 2 alpha provides at least a framework for the president to employ the defense force to work together in cooperation with the police. And this is also enhanced by the framework on Section 19 of the Defense Act that spells out command and control during such operations. So, what is going to happen is that our operational procedures will ensure that we continue to work together, but at the same time, I want to emphasize something that we will allow the police to continue to align with broader criminal justice processes. And I emphasize that particularly because the primary aspect of going through collection of evidence and management of the crime scene remains the sole responsibility of the police. And it is on that note that we will allow the police to continue to do policing. And where you threaten the police whilst they're busy with their work, we will ensure that we stabilize that environment and allow the police to continue doing the work that they're supposed to do. I think that touches on Kaukalos' question to say, are you taking over the dockets? I say no. Thank you.
Thank you very much, General. Maybe just to afford the last round questions, if there are any. I'm noting there is a hand right there at the back. So I will start with the new hands. Will be 1 and 2 as new hands, generals. Then we will then give an opportunity for follow-ups to Mobile and Calvin. Then we will just move to also then we'll move to a closure. So we're just allowing this second round. So you will just introduce yourself and then pose your questions. Thank you very much. Then you should flow in that particular order.
Thank you, Officer. My name is Ibrahim Zaneli. I'm from Tembisa. I think it's with the interest of the community, since they've seen some pictures and videos of the SANDF and SAPS operating within other townships. So people have been asking, are we going to see any of the boots on the ground in other townships? I know it might be a sensitive question whether they are coming or not. Obviously, the criminal might say, oh, they are coming or not. But just any kind of operations from
Actually, my name is Halim Nile from Soweto. Mine is in relation to General Fadiman in regards to witness B. I just want to know, we know that the statement suggests that the person arrested is the alleged shooter. For your investigation, are you able to tell us if there will be more arrests in terms of that shooting, witness B, not Matanga condition, because it was made clear that there will be more arrests? And then the second question also is in relation to witness B. Will we be correct to say the killing of witness B is aligned to his testimony, or the investigation is still continuing, or there are other things? The reason I'm asking this is because after the incident in December, there were reports that suggested that he was in the security force and he was dealing with illegal mining, and suggestions have been made. So we're just we're trying to clear the air. Thank you.
And just perhaps an idea in terms of employment, where is going to be the focus going forward, especially with what happened in Congress last night.
Nobile, can you just repeat that question again?
Please give an indication where your deployment is going to be looking at, especially with regards to what took place in Elders last night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Major General Pokane. Calvin, again, my question go to General Maphanya. It's about the deployment of the SANDF. Residents are saying that they are only seeing the members of the SANDF during the day, but at night they are not there. Can you maybe clarify for the country about the deployment? Because they are saying that it's fine, they are delighted that they are there during the day, but at night, during dangerous times, they are not there. Thank you.
However, Mawalewa again from UFM. General Maphanya, perhaps I was a bit vague in my earlier question. I needed you to address in particular this assertion that you will enforce the law by any means possible. General Masemula would tell you that in doing their job, they usually face litigation from all manner of groupings, because the Criminal Procedure Act gives just as much, if not more, rights to the accused persons than the police officers that they have to arrest them. So the concern here is civilian rights. What does any means possible mean? Because those who are opposed to the deployment of the army believe that this is an invitation to, scope, honor and skill, just to take the country into confidence as to that's not what people are going to be subjected to. And the National Commissioner, at Madanga Commission this week, an observation was made by the Commission Chair. You would have been aware of it, that he is concerned that senior police officers in their testimony appear visibly frightened, fearing, naming persons that they seem to believe that are engaged in criminality. Just your comment on that, and also as to whether indeed General Shigiri did make a request for protection and that request was declined by the SAPS. If there's details you can share, if there's none, just to indicate whether there was such a request at any stage.
Thank you very much, General. We can then provide the responses to the 4 questions that were put in the second round of questions. Thank you very much.
Okay. The first question, I think, is a young man from Tembisa. You heard that Gauteng province is one of our hotspots. So there is no way that we'll tell you that we will be in Tembisa tonight. But just take it that Gauteng is one of the provinces that we are going to police. So the details is with the operational or tactical commanders. Witness D, will there be more arrest? Well, the investigation is continuing. One will not at this stage be able to say, but I'm aware that one of the suspects we are still hunting them, and the investigation will, as time goes on, be able to indicate what more is there. I think it's safe to say that. And to say, is it linked to giving evidence? It's quite difficult, because I can't really say that. The investigator will be able to allude to that in court as to what exactly is the motive. All I will know is that they were both involved in other commission of other crimes, and the investigation, for now, the person we've arrested is the person we arrested for the killing of witness D. And I think more will come out as time goes on in terms of what is next. It's safe to say that. Focus of deployment, Ms. Malala, the deployment, what we said is that for now, this is our hotspots that we have zoomed in, the provinces that we have named. But you remember right at the beginning I said we will look at the whole country. As one would say, for example, in Limpopo, there are certain areas that are a problem in terms of illicit mining. In Mpumalanga, you have got your Emalasheni, you have got your Babatin, you have got your Pilgrim's Rest. Those are the areas that are also a problem. So we will also be deploying those areas. So the one part is what will be worked between the operational commanders on the ground, but we are aware of which areas we'll be paying attention to. However, the issue of police officers fearing criminals, I mean, police officers are there employed to arrest criminals. I haven't seen a police officer that would fear criminals. A police officer must face criminals. If it means it's a fight, let it be a fight, and we expect the police to win. I don't have an officer that will fear criminals, but in terms of General Shiguri TRA, I don't seem to remember that he have submitted a threat assessment or something like that. I can't talk on that. don't remember. Anything to add?
I think we covered all
Okay.
that the intelligence details and the deployment.
Okay. All right. No, let me hand over to the general.
Thank you, Netcom. You have responded to the question from the Tembisa online. I didn't pick up the name, but however, what you are saying is that you want to see more boots on the ground. And more boots on the ground had been promised, because you said this deployment is going to see over 2,000 of the South African National Defence Force members deployed. Where and when? It will be according to the operational plan that we will have to then within the institution work on. Then the second issue that I want to also touch on, I'm not going to touch on the question of witness B, and because now it will be playing into how well was said. Calvin asked this question to say, deployed South African National Defence Force are seen during the day and at night they are not there. Let me reiterate once again that we are currently busy with one operation, and now we are deploying for this second phase of Operation Prosper, where you will see additional numbers coming in, and that additional numbers will also entail additional hours, because we are not only going to be dealing with volume code like you saw us doing. We are going to deal with those criminal elements. If they are effective and active at night, you will see us at night. We don't have time frames of when must we be patrolling. So for this operation, we reassure our people that we will be patrolling and doing all support activities that are required to our people, because we said the most critical thing that we need to do is to protect and defend our people. That is the first objective that we have put. And we said we will continue to dislodge the threat against our peoples. And therefore, we are not going to be seen only at any other given time. And we are not going to disclose where we will be at what time. But we are reassuring those criminals that we will give them no quarters. And that is the promise that we give them. The second issue that had been raised is when I said we will give the criminal elements no quotas and we're not going to hold back. And now you say there are a lot of civil rights and all those issues that goes with it. But we have got strategic guidelines that we have put together, and that will regulate the employment of the National Defence Force in service for cooperation with the SAPS. And those strategic guidelines and directions will be to our commanders to be able to know what needs to be done, and to those youngsters that will be deployed, the troops on the ground. They will be governed by those rules of engagement and guidelines that we have put out for our people. So we're not going out there for what you mentioned, which I am not good at spelling. I'm not good in Afrikaans, but you said scope, donor, and skit. We are going out there in defense of our people, to protect our people, and to prevent and combat crime. And that is what we will be assisting with. We are not going there to harass our people. Any people that will feel harassed are the criminal element. We are reiterating again, we are going there for those criminals, not to harass our people. So that is very clear. The guidelines that we have given to our people are clear, and our intent is clear. I think I've touched on what we wanted to hear. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, I think, I think we are done. But what we are asking the communities to work with the police and the SANDF and give information, of course, about criminals. But of course, if criminals challenge police and or members of the SANDF, well, they should know that we are up to the challenge. Thank you.
Generals, thank you very much. I think on that note, it is safe to say we are concluding the media briefing at this point in time. Any other questions will be responded to in writing. Allow me to thank the National Commissioner of SAPS, General Masimula, and the Chief of the SANDF, General Mapanyo, Lieutenant General Msigiri and Lieutenant General Sangweni for conducting this media briefing this afternoon. And we thank you, members of the media, for your very support as we continue with the fight against crime. Thank you very much, and God bless you. The media briefing is adjourned.
Howard, I've got my constitution here. If guys,
I'm asking.
We are operating. We are operating.